Hey YouTube. With the build up to Apple's One More Thing event on November 10th and the expected Apple Silicon computer, it has been conjectured that the perfect Apple Silicon MacBook may already be here. And by that, they meant the iPad. So what does it mean for an iPad to be able to serve as your computer, as your primary computing device? The ability to use your iPad in lieu of your Mac, PC, or Linux, maybe a Chromebook, it's characterized by the limitations of the iPad that still exist. I wrote this script on an iPad from 2016, and I enjoy the things the iPad can do, but I would not be able to use the iPad as my primary device because of the things it cannot do. And that's what we'll get into. Before we get started, I want to let you know that there are a lot of things the iPad can do. These are broken down by apps, artwork, gaming, graphics, and general consumption. Apps. The app ecosystem of iOS and iPadOS is astounding. Apps tend to be more feature-rich and updated sooner than their Android counterparts. Artwork creation apps, just overall, tend to work better on the iPad than they do on Android tablets. Samsung has made some great strides on the responsiveness of their S Pen, and its performance, from what I hear, is equivalent to the iPad. But the hardware is only as good as the software that lets you create, share, and publish. And for now, the best apps are on the iPad. Gaming. Playing games on the iPad can be like playing on a big iPhone. The improved screen real estate can make the difference between an enjoyable experience and a frustrating one. Not all games are available, as I'm not able to play Pokemon Go, for example, on the iPad. But War Robot's terribly infuriating on the iPhone. Graphics. The graphics and responsiveness from Apple Silicon has been at the top of the heap for a long time, and especially over the last 3 years, they have been far and away ahead of the chips used in Android devices. So it's no surprise that the current iPad lineup is a powerhouse of a system on a chip. So we know that iPads can do a lot.
But can it work for you?
But whether or not a non-PC computer, whether it's based on iOS or iPadOS, Mac, Chromebook, or Linux, will work for you, will probably be based on what it cannot do. Content consumption. So content consumption, when iPads first came on the scene, they made their bones with movies, internet browsing, and just general content consumption. While they have come a long way to become content creation devices, they are not as formidable as Windows PC. As feature-rich as the apps might be compared to their Android counterparts, they often still lag behind their PC equivalents. iOS is more intuitive, but common PC apps, or programs, like Word and Excel from Microsoft, and the litany of PC-only apps that companies rely on, provide capabilities that have been developed over the years and through even decades of incremental development. Multitasking. Multitasking is something that iPadOS struggles with, and is perhaps its greatest shortfall. Do you want to take notes while having your camera on during a Zoom meeting? Too bad. The camera will not work in multitasking mode. Do you want to move apps around so you can have 3 or more apps visible at once? Sorry, you can't do that on iPadOS either. Graphics. As good as graphics are on the iPad, they are limited to the system on a chip, what in the PC world and even the Mac world we call integrated graphics. Other computers would have the opportunity for a separate graphics card, what the PC and Mac world call discrete graphics. Not all PCs or Macs will have discrete graphics, but many do, and discrete graphics cards provide the opportunity for greater graphics performance. This really comes down to the app availability. Games on the iPad will play great, games on PC can play great with the proper hardware, but the games available will not match, and the graphics intensity will not match, and the graphics intensive games will more likely be available on the PC. As you might imagine, whether or not the iPad will work for you as your primary or only computer depends on your needs and workflow. So you have to think about whether or not the limitations are right for you. Do you only just do one thing at a time? You want to write, you just need a word processor, whip up some things, then that works. You just want to watch a movie, or even have a movie playing in the background or in a small corner. iPad can do that now, as long as you're not trying to use it on YouTube. If this video has been helping informing you on the way the iPad works, whether it might work for you, like this video. It really helps the channel. If you like this or our other content, please subscribe and hit that notification bell so you won't miss the next one. Now to the One More Thing event. I don't usually play the Apple predictions game, But I am excited for the new hardware and keenly interested in explaining the hardware we expect with the new Silicon Macs and why I think they will be released in the way that I predict. The simple answer is that we expect the hardware design to be the same, and the reasons are expediency, money, and beta testing. So we're expecting two Silicon Macs, 13-inch. One is going to be a MacBook Air equivalent, and the other MacBook Pro. There are some rumors regarding a 12-inch MacBook, and that's actually what I'm really excited about because I think Apple had that ready years ago, and the power and heat-intensive Intel chips couldn't handle it. So the 12-inch MacBook was never really a big seller. It got canceled, but if they can put their A14 hardware into it, I think it's a winner, even with the larger bezels of the current generations. And if the 13 inches are going to have those bezels anyway, why not? And if Apple's moving to the 14-inch instead of the 13-inch, then it'll go 12, 14, 16, which can make sense for them. But the current rumor mill says probably not. So why would Apple do it this way? So for speed is easy to explain. Development takes time and money. So changing the design would increase production lead time. Money for development is probably not the issue, as Apple will most assuredly update the design at some point anyway. The real advantage for Apple is that the design is already created and the new silicon can be quickly included into new production. So what is the monetary benefit? For Apple, it's being able to differentiate their products. So the first generation I expect to be the same as the current lineup of Intel-based Macs, but desirable for the new chip. The advantage of not making the external hardware uniquely identifiable is that fewer people who will buy it for the sake of appearances will pick this one up. The first product will be a beta test and picked up by the early adopters and enthusiasts. This will provide Apple a little more time to get the bugs out. Then, when the redesign does eventually come out, which is not traditionally an annual release for Macs, more people will want to buy it. An interesting development for adding Macs to the Apple Silicon is that it provides Apple the opportunity to increase the frequency of releases with new chips. So my prediction is there will be two Apple Macs with already used designs. And as I said, I like the 12-inch MacBook design and wish that's coming, but the rumors still say two 13-inch MacBooks. All right. That was a fair amount of information in a short amount of time, but I hope I kept this short and sweet for you. Apple's event is coming up on November 10th, and we will be live streaming it on Twitch and we'll be live streaming that on Twitch at twitch.tv/CaliPerspective. So we hope to see you there. You can expect more videos coming up based on the MacBook event and seeing what they announce for us. So I'm thinking this event will run on the shorter range. Typically they'll last between an hour and 2 hours. I think they're going to keep this one focused, short and sweet. They might have something like a small product before, then they'll jump straight into the MacBooks, keep it running, and close it up. All right, catch you later.